course of that weekend in September, thousands of UUs across the country participated in the first ever climate revival. Some of you may remember we went to 4th U for that Sunday to worship together, pushing back on the fear and sadness that this topic can often inspire. The revival leaned into joy, celebrating our successes and building communities committed to a sustainable and gorgeous future. UU spent the weekend reimagining our extractive culture. Included in the revival was an art contest with a total of 7 winners. And the leaders of that contest reached out to a handful of clergy to design a worship service inspired by one of those pieces of art. I accepted the invitation, and the service is a response to a piece called Love at the Center. It's pictured on the front of your programs. So I don't know the artist who created this. The piece has a lot of different symbols, but I think the general idea is that love needs to be at the center of our relationship with Earth. And since I've declared from this pulpit innumerable times that love needs to be at the center of everything, it's a message I can embrace without hesitation, and one I know many of you have been working to integrate into your own lives. For those of you who can't see it, the painting sets 2 people before each other with a picture of the planet between them, each of them kissing it. It's very sweet. There's a chalice above their heads with the flames centered by a leaf encircled by puzzle pieces meant to look like people. We can imagine the 2 main characters holding a child or a kitten in much the way they are embracing Earth. They are loving caretakers, stewards. They accept responsibility for this magnificent planet whose future is dependent on their gentle embrace. It reminds me of the book of Genesis, where Yahweh, the creator, God of the Abrahamic religions, tells the father and mother of all humans to be fruitful and multiply and to have dominion over earth and to take care of all that's been given to them. It beautifully reflects the theology that undergirds much of faith-based climate action. I remember the charge from Genesis being the foundation of my own training many years ago when I embarked on this course of study as a Green Faith Fellow in 2009. We have been charged with the critical role of caretaking, but have recently begun to fail and need to reimagine our lives with a shift of priorities that allows us to be true to the charge, really the directive to be good, generous, and worthy stewards. Now, because that doesn't perfectly align with my own theology, I'm going to accept the invitation to break this open a little bit. As UUs, we've grabbed onto the concept of love being at the center, since writing our values statement, which brilliantly crafted a circular image rather than a linear one, and putting love in the middle of that makes clear that what grows from it might change with time, but as long as it's sourced by love, it's still worthy of our theological attention. The challenge for me comes from the concept, though, of a center. If there's a center, there are margins, inside and outside. So I know love, and she is everywhere. Right now, right here, her breath fills my lungs and yours too. Whether you're in the room here with me or streaming from Taiwan, her song is heard on the wind here in New York City and in Dallas and Vancouver and Nairobi and Marrakesh. She makes herself known every time a parent reaches out to hold a child's hand, or a gardener plucks a tomato warm from the sun and shares it with a neighbor. She is with us when we sit with a grieving friend or attend an aging parent. Love is at the center, but the center is everywhere. And I'm going to take this a step further. All of life, this entire universe, is love, is the body of God. Everything we see and know and feel are an expression, a manifestation of love. Our bodies, our laughter, our wonder, the stars, the galactic systems, the tulips breaking through de-thawed soil, the firefly, the universe is the divine expressing herself. We are her body. Our lives are living testaments to the sacred story. That story is being told by each of us in all the complexities and simplicities of our very long and very short lives. It's also being told by the trees, and the salmon, and the grizzly bear, and the granite, and the earthworm. Every being is a holy expression. Every being is a revelation. Using that framework, all beings have inherent value, not because of what we do or accomplish, but because we are the bodies of love. We aren't stewards of earth because we were commanded to it. We are stewards in partnership with all of life, which shares in our task of telling the sacred story, of living into the truth of divine expression. We are called into deep caretaking of love, as vulnerable as every insect racing to get out from under our feet. All of the divisions we interpret in our social systems are constructed by us. There is no inherent difference of value between lives. The hierarchy of being we have imagined into existence isn't an authentic reflection of the truth we are beginning to embrace as you use, the idea that love is at the center of everything. If love is at the center, if love is the animating force of all life, then nothing is worth more or less anything else. We are of the same substance, sourced from the same body. We are all, in our own ways, demonstrating, embodying, and revealing love. We are all participating in the same mystery, all telling the sacred story. Every element of life is divine utterance, holy expression. Everyone. The social construct we have created includes this hierarchy of being, giving more value to some lives over others. White, wealthy American, able-bodied, straight-educated, cisgendered men between the ages of 25 and 70 are valued at a higher level than other life. And while most progressive thinkers, maybe most of us will agree we have a shameful vertical value system of humans, we rarely recognize the equal value of other elements of Earth. This limits our theological imaginations and has ultimately instigated the ecological collapse we're watching and experiencing. Undisciplined expansion of self, human inflation, has brought us to the edge of destruction. The human project has entered a period of danger, and all Earth is looking to us to determine our collective future. Every being, every living embodiment of love, every living being sharing in this sacred story is dependent on us. We, Mother Earth's youngest and most reckless child. Hope for that future rests in our ability to break open our framework, relating to all Earth as Father Thomas Berry suggests, a communion of subjects rather than a collection of objects. Love, finding her rightful place at the center, is the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, is our invitation to relationship, right relationship with the universe, and more immediately and necessarily with this planet we share. We are not stewards. We do not have dominion. We are partners. We are companions with all of life, also and equally expressions of love. The shift of perspective and the dismantling of our hierarchical system to reconstruct anew is well grounded in our shared value of pluralism. We have stated and agreed that we value all human life equally, regardless of the social categories often used for division. But the framework I'm suggesting drags those boundaries ever wider, encompassing every being. Our shared story begins with the first cellular ooze and will continue as long as the galaxies spin. Every component has the right to exist, the right to have a place to live, the right to fulfill its purpose. Every time we betray those rights, we betray the sacred love that called us into being. Humans are not on the outside of nature, standing above or apart. While we might hold the fate of the planet in our hands, as the painting suggests, we are not separate from the fate we create. We are of nature, of this planet, Earth, intimately and bodily birthed from the very life that teems infinitely. Living into this expansiveness inspires a softer footprint, a decentering of the human experience, ultimately inviting us to a more sustainable existence. Climate justice is a call to recognize and address the disproportionate attacks on marginalized communities as a result of climate change. It's a widening of the lens to recognize that impact is unequal and that vulnerable people have fewer resources to alter current trajectories or recover from crisis. Acknowledging our moral responsibility, climate justice seeks equitable solutions that prioritize communities that have historically, systematically been under-resourced and continue to be underserved and are sometimes entirely unconsidered. This is our task, but it's only the beginning. To address this crisis is to right-size our place, the human place, in this massive planetary system, encouraging all life to thrive. No one form or element is of more value or has more of a right to exist than another, whether we're talking about white children from Greenwich, Connecticut, or indigenous children from Brazil, or dolphins in the Atlantic. We are all telling a sacred story. We are all divine expressions, all manifestations of love. Justice, a reshifting of our priorities, a reimagining of our planetary future, new eco-technologies that ensure sustainability are all consequences of the recognition of our shared place in the sacred story. Recalibrating our importance, acknowledging the necessity of multi-species partnership, profound interdependence, and laying the vertical hierarchy of beings on its side. We can modify goals to ensure that the turtles and the heron and the elk and the oak trees and the mountaintops and every one of our seas, all revelations, has what they need to survive and thrive. Giving love all the room she needs to live extravagantly at the center of everything.